that God gave you to them to take care of, and they are accountable to God for anything you do, as long as you are under their watch. So they don't want to take chances. Hi everyone, welcome to day 14. Thanks for staying up till now, and if you still have anonymous questions, you want to send, the link is attached to this video and it's on the screen, so you can send in your questions. I will be able to learn my voice and attempt to answer them in the best way I can. Let's go right into today's question. I am a pastor's kid. Everyone expects me to be perfect. I can't even have a breath of fresh air. I feel like I'm doing things the way I do them to boost my parents' ego. My parents aren't making things any better with the way they handle my mistakes. What can I do? I think I understand where this is coming from, because I am a pastor's kid also. I understand a bit of what you're going through. So I would say a few things. I would be on your parents' side at some point and be on your side at some other point, because the more you grow, the more you understand why your parents do the things they do. But first, please know that your parents have all the love in mind while doing the things they do to correct you. Whatsoever precautionary mode of correction they are taking is because they've seen many other children go the wrong way. They've had the opportunity to counsel. Some of them that have even been pastoring before, they had you. I've had to counsel many children, many parents whose children are wayward. They've seen many examples of rebellion and they don't want their children to go that way. And that's why whatsoever they can do to caution you, whatsoever they can do to make sure you don't go that way, they will do it. Number one, because they know the value of your life before God. Number two, they know that God gave you to them to take care of, and they are accountable to God for anything you do, as long as you are under their watch. So they don't want to take chances. Number three, they love you with the God kind of love, and they want to see you become all that God wants you to be. Number four is that they have a name to protect. Not really a name per se, but because they are ministers of the gospel, even the Bible mentioned it that the children of a bishop should be under control, one that rules his house, with the fear of God. God is very particular about the family of those that watch over his children. So that's why your parents are very intentional about you. And the fifth is that because you're a pastor's kid, Satan has more interest in you, and that's why your parents know that you are also an object of focus for the devil, and they don't want to take chances whatsoever they can do to make sure that the enemy does not come to your gate. Have I made you understand that part? Now, the next is that your parents may actually not understand things from your standpoint. I remember some years back, I was in camp. We go for camp in my church. We go Easter, that's sometime in March, April, and we go in December too. So on one of those occasions, everybody, there is teens church, there is youth church, there is children's church. We also have the campus section and the adult section. So I was a teenager then, I was in the youth church, and it was like a panel discussion. Some of our leaders who are also parents were brought to talk to us about certain things. I can't even remember everything now, but I remember they were telling us why our parents act the way they do, and why our parents are acting like this. That even some of them that were youth instructors also have issues with their children. So when their children do this, I remember my practical example of flinging socks here, flinging the shoes here, and the rest of it. But then as I sat there, I was just thinking, can the same thing be replicated in the adult church? Can the leadership of the church help us explain to our parents that we really don't have it in mind to disobey them? There's nothing we would gain disobeying them. It's just that sometimes we are emotionally imbalanced as young people, as teenagers. There are times we don't even know why we do what we do. There are times we just do things for the fun of it. There are times we do some of those things because we want their attention, and we can't tell them straight up, look, dad, I want your attention. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going to be a parent someday, and I'm going to have things that will be born in a generation different from mine. So it takes continuous study to understand the world your children are born in and how to handle them at time. So that learning gap is there, and if your parents don't know how to do it better, they will do it the way they think, and they will expect to get the same results that they should have gotten if they did it right. After all, that was the right thing they think they should have done. There are parents that spank their children in the public when the children do things that are wrong because they want to show everybody that they are disciplinarians. These things go a long way in destroying the self-esteem of this child. So it's you that is a pastor's kid that seems to be at the center of attraction. Everybody is looking at you. Everybody wants to make reference to you. So I understand that part. Whatever you can do to be very obedient to your parents, as long as you are under their watch, please do it. I'm speaking from experience as a pastor's kid also. So I know it is possible to be obedient because I was obedient by the grace of God under the leadership of the Holy Spirit. There are many things I wanted to do and just go haywire, and sometimes you just want to change it for your parents and all of that. No. When you have a spirit-controlled temperament, even as a teenager, you can still be obedient and respectful. There is a way you can communicate your grievances with your parents and they will understand you. It's not in the heat of a discussion that you would raise up your voice and try to prove a point. To an African parent, are you joking? You will get a backlash that you did not expect. So you don't do that. Wait for a very convenient time. It could be when you are gisting or when the whole atmosphere is calm. You can introduce it in a subtle way so that they are not under pressure. Just to make sure that you respect them and give them that honor. Don't talk back at your parents. It wants them, whether in the public or in the private. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're a child of God. Don't do that. You'll be a parent someday, and you will know how it feels for your child to talk back at you. It's wrong. So while I know there are things parents do that are practically not supposed to be so, let's also work from your end so that while we trust God that they learn to do things better. I'm glad when I see people take the family as their focus, like they talk about family, they talk about raising children. I remember there was a time some years back I had to buy a book on how to parent teenagers. I just wanted to read about it and know why teenagers act the way they do. So this is a recommendation to parents out there. If you're parenting teens, the way your parents did it with you, it's not the way you would do it with these ones. And let me just talk to you as a teenager. You may actually do more than what your parents are doing now if you don't learn to do it the right way. It's very easy for us to point out the mistakes of our parents and say they did this wrong, they did this wrong. But if we're not careful, we'll start doing things wrong in the wrong way too. And our parents are learning by the years. Many of them got married at a young age when they were naive and didn't know any better. That's why you see that the last born seem to always enjoy some benefits. At that point in time, after having like 3-4 children, the parents just feel, look, it's not every time that we react in a harsh way to these children. Let's just take it up with them. But you, the firstborn, you think your parents should always react whenever the last one does something. And you're like, Daddy, this was not the way you did it for me. Why don't you talk to her? She's not doing this and you're not saying anything. So if you're not careful, you will replicate what your parent did also, because you will start thinking that if it is not done this way, then that is not the right way. So you must be careful to make sure that you do not replicate the same thing. I wish you all the best, dear pastor's kid. And you're not alone. There are many others going through what you're going through, but let's just play our part to make sure that God is happy with us and we honor our parents. Children, Obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long. You want your days to be long, please honor your parents, especially as their ministers. You don't know the gravity of what it means to be a minister. Please honor them, respect them, love them, communicate with them politely, and see when to communicate your grievances when you be. I wish you all the best. Don't worry, this phase will soon be over, okay? Just enjoy it last. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.